to see you.
God, it's been a while. Thanks so much for letting me on your podcast. I'm so excited about this.
Me too. And I have many questions for you, of course.
Oh, cool. Well, I have a lot of questions for you. I mean, you're kind of the expert. I'm sort of an expert, but I really admire you and everything you've done
Come
so
on,
much in your career.
come on. I think that it's just because I'm ADHD, so I jump from one topic to another. So that's why I'm doing so many things at
I
the same
feel
time.
hopeful that someday I can be as successful as you with my ADD. So there you go.
You're going to be way more successful, I'm sure.
I don't know. We'll see. It's exciting to
Yeah.
think. All
So
right.
thank you.
So yeah.
Thank you for joining. So this video is going to be recorded, and we're going to make shorts and then a full video. So I'll make the introduction later on when I prepare the podcast, so we can jump right away into the topics that we want to discuss. Before we start, your book is out.
Yeah, it's coming January 31st. January 31st. So
Awesome.
Going to be out soon.
Okay, perfect. We're going to talk about that too. So 1, 2, 3, ready?
Yeah.
You look beautiful. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
Molly, thank you for joining us. Welcome to No Plan B podcast. I'm thrilled to have you. We've been chasing each other since the Biohacking conference in Los Angeles, and finally we made it. So welcome to the podcast, and
Thank you so much.
hopefully
Thanks for
we're
having
gonna.
me.
It's a pleasure. It's my pleasure to have you because you're a rock star. I was looking at what you've done in your life. It's just like you started in 1992. Is that possible?
I feel like I've been working at everything I wanted to do in my life since I was in 5th grade. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to be a doctor, and I know I'm not going to be a normal doctor. So I know I'm just here to do something interesting, you know? And then I remember being in 8th grade being like, you know what? I don't understand what these hormones are doing to me, but someday I'm going to understand all of this. And now like 38, I'm 38 now. And I'm like, yeah. And I figured it out. I figured out a lot of things about being a woman, and I put it in a book, which is cool.
Yeah. So let's start about that. Your book is coming up on January 31st. You just said that to me before. And I'm excited because this is the first topic actually we discussed a bit when I was in Los Angeles with you there. And we spoke a bit about your book. And I'm very intrigued because there's tons of book around, but yours seems to be very different. Can you tell us a bit more about what is coming up?
Sure. I mean, so look, like we have been in this sort of allopathic medicine paradigm for a long time. And that being said, allopathic medicine hasn't been around forever. It's very much only in the last 100 years that it emerged. But if you actually just look at like Eastern medicine, energy is really the focus. And yet in Western medicine, the material is the focus, right? And it's all about how our bodies become progressively more diseased. Like that's the disease model. And what I'm kind of proposing in this book is like, maybe what we all need to be focusing on is the actual root causes of these major metabolic diseases that are harming us. So when I was in the hospital working, I was like, why is it that I'm seeing like 80% of what I would see was all the same stuff? It was heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and dementia. And I was just like, and then there was like, the consequences of that, like kidney failure. And more, aside from the fact that like we just had a pandemic, for the most, like in the last 100 years with sanitation and hygiene and vaccines and antibiotics, like infectious diseases have gone down for the most part. But these chronic diseases have come up. And what really frustrated me about modern medicine when I was working in the hospitals was like, I was so sick of just like handing people drugs and sending them to surgery and no one ever asking like, why are we seeing the same stuff? Like, why don't we actually figure out what do these all have in common? And that really for the last 10 years has been my main goal, is like, what is the cause of human suffering? And so I had a really good suspicion that like our food and our metabolism was a big part of it. So much of my career was stemmed around how do you optimize nutrition? And how do you, and then, how do you actually optimize metabolism? But then I had met a friend who was a guy who had turned his health around completely through optimizing mitochondria. And he was like, look, I know you know a lot about health, but let me tell you, like, if you should be just focusing all your efforts on knowing about this topic. And I was like, oh, interesting. Because I had spent so much time on gut health and functional medicine and learned a lot about detoxification and this and that. But my friend Ben Gibson really introduced me to mitochondria as a focus of my research to figure out, like, okay, maybe these organelles are actually the seat of health and disease, specifically the ones that are most prevalent to chronic to our lifestyles today. And if you look at the biggest drivers of mitochondrial dysfunction, it's eating the wrong foods at the wrong times, the wrong amounts. It's basically overtaxing the metabolism with the wrong fuel, and then draining the batteries with chronic stress, right? Like literally stressing the system so that you're draining the energy, and then not sending the signals to make more mitochondria, which is exercise. Exercise actually reverses every hallmark of aging. So exercise is really important for health, but these are three of the biggest drivers of disease, and they all affect mitochondrial function. And so I was like, wow. So basically, like, what everyone's been saying forever makes sense. We need to obviously eat better, exercise more, and stress less. But yet most doctors can't tell people exactly how to do that. And what I learned in my practice was like, well, I can measure lots of labs and I can really analyze a person's body, and I can understand specifically which systems are failing and which systems need to be optimizing. But what's beautiful about wearable technology, and I'm wearing an Oura ring and a blood sugar monitor.
Okay.
I can measure in real time my stress, sleep, I use Hanu Health for real-time stress monitors, but you can actually meditate with your Oura ring, and you can measure HRV during the day. You can measure your overnight HRV. You can measure your sleep quantity and quality. You can measure your how much movement you had and how high the intensity of your movement. And you can measure your eating timing, what you ate, if it spiked your sugar. Like last night, I didn't eat enough yesterday. I went to bed and my blood sugar alarm went off because it said I was in the 50s. And I was like, oh, I didn't eat enough food yesterday. And I looked back on the day and I was like, you know what? You really didn't eat enough yesterday. And so it was one of those things where,
cortisol gets in, you wake up, and yeah.
So the reality is that we have so much more data at our fingertips, but yet most doctors are practicing medicine that's 15 years old. And what I'm trying to do with this book is say, look, we can make a paradigm shift in health. And it comes down to individuals caring enough about their health to do something about it. And that means going out and getting your labs done, not if you're sick, but if you're healthy and want to stay healthy, putting devices on your body to actually analyze your stress levels and your blood sugar and your movement, and actually making steps to change your lifestyle and your behaviors so you don't end up having to take, statins, blood pressure medication, diabetes medication, or getting surgery. And that's what I really want people to get out of this book. Now, it's also very much tailored to women, because most of the books on biohacking have been written by men for everyone, but largely for men. So I throw in a lot more in the book around connection, around love, around hormones, around sexuality, things that I think a lot of women want to know about, fertility.
True. Yeah. And they've been left over for many aspects of the health, like even for exercising, like most of the exercises were designed for men, not for women. And the majority of people buying workouts and things like that are women. This is the biggest paradox of our society anyway. But your book seems to, for me, I haven't read it yet, but it's a kind of recipe that you're giving to our humanity to live better and longer, like in terms of longevity, extending our longevity. But
specifically health span. So I'm not claiming to be David Sinclair. I'm not like, I don't actually practice as a longevity expert, but I do believe that the path to longevity is through extending the quality and quantity of life by optimizing health. So I believe that health span, the number of years you have living healthy without disease or disability, that should be our goal. And because, like, do we really want to be 150 and be like falling apart and getting, do we want that? Some people do. Some people do.
Really? I don't see the purpose of that, honestly. I think that we're going to live up to 150 because we're improving the way that we live, the way that we eat, the way that we move, and we're getting some sort of conscience of who we are as individual. And mitochondria is a funny part because genetics come from that part most of the time. So if we hack our mitochondria, are we hacking our genetic as well, or are we changing it?
Yeah, I mean, so interestingly, like your mitochondria are not just creating energy in the body, but they're actually deciding where the energy goes. So they're basically like general contractors. So they're literally saying, oh, okay, what's going on right now? Sensing and integrating the environment. Seems like I'm under stress and danger. Really not going to prioritize sex hormones right now. I'm going to use as much of those precursors to go make cortisol because I need to make sure I can protect myself. And this is like the biological imperative is always to survive and then reproduce. If you're not able to survive, you're not, like, if you're under like massive stress, your body's going to redirect resources to survival, not to fertility, not to reproduction. So what I really find interesting is, like, a lot of people think that longevity is genetic, but actually it's only between 10 and 20% going to, like, genetics is probably about 10 and 20% going to determine your longevity. But the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that they get a lot of their habits and behaviors from their family. And you're there, so you get a lot of lessons on how to eat and how to move and how you behave, like how you are conditioned to handle stress and threats from your parents, and they got it from their parents. So there is actually, some of it's nature, some of it's nurture. And I think a lot more of it's nurture and a lot more of it's in your hands to determine. Like my parents, when they were my age, had already started blood pressure medication and already started lipid medication.
Are they doctors?
Nope. No. I was the only doctor in my family. So yeah.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah. Thanks.
Interesting, but 60% of genetics come from the mother, so you're improving life of women, so it's going to be good for the future.
Mitochondrial DNA is from the mother, and so it's likely that, we don't know for sure, but scientists think that your longevity is probably more determined by your mom than your dad. So you might want to look at your maternal line and find out how old they lived, because you're like, fortunately, my mom's side, they live pretty long. But it's just really interesting to think about, like, do we have a say over our health? Well, I would argue that, like, I meet people in their 20s that are really into biohacking and they're really healthy and they're really fit. And I'm like, those are the people. Like, I was not healthy and fit in my 20s. I was actually out of shape. I was way too skinny. I was basically starving myself to be really thin. I really didn't feel well. My urine organic acid test, the first time I got them done, were totally deranged. Like, it looks so much healthier now than it did 10 years ago. And that was because most women, when they're in their 20s, unfortunately, a lot of them are on birth control. A lot of them are taking stimulants or anti-anxiety meds or SSRIs. And a lot of them are, under consuming, under eating, over exercising, if they do exercise.
Because of the pressure of the society, and it's getting worse and worse with social media now. I know that you want to leverage a lot on social media to help those women, but this is a dilemma. Women are under pressure. Yeah, but sorry.
I saw today that, like, the AI that is, like, everybody's playing with, Lenza AI, they're all getting their faces made. There was somebody commenting on how, isn't it interesting that everyone's AI have large breasts? It's almost like they optimize for what they know humanity wants.
Of course. Of course.
And people are
mathematic.
Yeah, exactly. And people are going on social media. They're using these apps. They're seeing themselves with filters, and then they're going to the plastic surgeon and saying, hey,
I want that.
Can you make it look like this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. I don't know. I love AI because it's really improving our lives. It's going to help us to do a lot of things.
I'm definitely not opposed to AI.
Yeah. But the application of that, I've seen all these faces and everything. It's just like, I think that people are dreaming to see them looking like that. And I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I'm going to try to look like you then.
I mean, I haven't really had any work done. I do a little Botox, but that's about it. So
well, I think that Botox is like, it's so common today that it doesn't change anything. Yeah, it's like it's part of it. As long as you don't do the cuts and surgery, it's fine.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I have like, I have to say though, I do think that the pressure on women it's been really crazy, and it's only getting crazier. And yet there's also a lot of pressure on men too, right? Like, you know, men and women's lives are changing a lot in the world, and there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. And so everybody feels really under pressure. Everybody feels really under stress these days. And what I've really written about in the book is like, okay, so all these doctors, you always go to the doctor, they always tell you, you're under all this stress, you need to stress less. But no doctor has ever told me how. Like, well, how
no, they don't. Well,
you
look
know,
at most doctors are stressed anyway. So
they're extremely stressed.
Yeah.
So in the book, one of the things that I do is I outline specifically how to conceptualize stress, because there's, you know, the obvious stressors that we have in our lives, which is like major life stressors, like divorce, or you know, like getting in a car accident, or having like, you know, I don't know, you name it. There's a lot of different
but I think that I've read that the major stressor in our society today in North America is actually money.
Yeah. Well, we're about to enter a recession, so, or we're in one. And I think that also the monetary systems are changing a lot, you know, and we don't have control over those changes. And so you know, the stock market's down. There's a lot of reasons to be fearful. And though there's also a lot of other stresses in our lives that we don't realize. So there's this theory called the generalized unsafety theory of stress. And it's about how when we are in a safe environment and we feel safe with people that we love and trust, with shelter over our head, with peace and quiet, our nervous systems turn off the unsafety signal. But when we are isolated, when we are in a noisy environment, like a city, living in a 1-bedroom apartment, for example, that was me in San Francisco, when we don't have friends and we're alone, these are actually turning on the brain's alert systems that you aren't safe. And so there's actually quite a lot of people that are physiologically sensing unsafety, even if they have money. If they're isolated, alone, living in a noisy environment where they don't know their neighbors and they don't have a lot of friends, that actually can be extremely stressful on the nervous system too. So I try to explain to people that it's not just the big stressors like money and relationships. It's also the invisible stressors that we don't realize are affecting us. And like, we just went through a major experiment where we isolated millions of people. And as a result of this experiment, we saw millions of people develop addiction, diseases of despair, suicidality, mental health disturbances.
Especially for young people, even more.
Exactly. Young people who weren't trained to have, I mean, look, I grew up in the 90s. Things were nice. Like, it was cool. It was great. Oh my God. There was nothing wrong in the world in the 90s. And so but I was raised by a family that like challenged me. Like, we always had jobs. We always worked. We never had things handed to us. It was always, you got to work hard for what you want. And, you know, we're not going to pay for your life forever. So like, you know, that was my upbringing. But, you know, some kids grew up with a lot more coddling and a lot more, and also, like, let's get real. Like, I grew up with parents that trained me to make money, and they taught me how to get jobs. And like,
you're in America.
I built my first business in 5th grade, and like, I went to the principal's office for it because I was making too much money on campus. So like, I've always had an entrepreneurial, you know, like, I can like everything will always work out, and I will make it work no matter what. That's always been my mindset. That is not most people, and most kids did not get encouraged necessarily to like, my parents were very encouraging for me to be, you know, to be an entrepreneur and to also have jobs. They were more encouraging for me to become a doctor, but, you know, the traditional path of becoming successful in America has shifted. College does not reward people as much as we thought. Even kids at Ivy Leagues worry about getting jobs in today's market. So there's a lot of reasons to be stressful. what we don't realize is that there's a lot we can do to harness our own biology to mitigate that stress. So one of the best things you can do is surround yourself with people that you trust. And really, when you're young, build your network. I mean, build your relationships. Like focus.
What about if you're an introvert?
If you're an introvert, it's going to be a little bit more challenging, but you can, like, one of the things that I'm doing more of for my friends who are introverts is having smaller gatherings with like 10 people instead of going to big gatherings with like 500 people. I'm going to smaller events, and I'm trying to create a closer knit group of a tribe, because everybody needs a tribe. Even if you're an introvert, even if you don't get energized by people, you still need people that you trust. You still need people that you can connect with, because connection is a natural form of oxytocin release. Human touch and cuddling is so good for your nervous system to feel safe. And this is, you know, part of the reason why I think we're seeing a lot of mass shooters. And one of the things that they all have in common is most of them have in common that they come from families where there was abuse, neglect, there was major adverse childhood experiences, there was lack of love, there was clearly poor relationships with their parents or their grandparents. And these kids, like, if you don't have love in your life, you can self-destruct. I've seen this happen to many adults. And I've seen a lot of people hurt themselves in the pandemic, right? I know people who have addiction. I know people who've killed themselves. And disconnection is the antithesis of health. It is literally what sends the most unsafety signals to your brain. So you need friends. You may not need as many as I have, because I think I over index for friendships, and I probably have too many friends. But you definitely need friends. And there's a good percentage of people in the country that don't have any friends. And it's somewhere between 5 and 10% of people, depending on if it's man or a woman. And that's a lot of people. And so, like, you know,
they should be all together to solve the problem.
We need to band together. We need unification. And there's a scientific argument for this, because oxytocin is what we get from feeling connected to people. Men and women both release oxytocin and vasopressin. Vasopressin is going to make you protective of your friends. It's going to make you defensive and sometimes aggressive. And then men are more vasopressin dominant. Now, women are more oxytocin dominant, but men also have oxytocin. And it's what we get when we feel connected, when we feel safe, when we feel like we are feeling comforted and cuddled by people, you know, like that's oxytocin.
You can have oxytocin with your dogs, your cat, things like that as well. Some people
Animals are a great substitute for connection if you live alone. I mean, I think one of the reasons why a lot of people get animals when their kids leave the house is because they really miss the nurturing, you know, and nurturing is a really natural thing for humans to do. I have friends that have like hundreds of plants instead of animals, you know.
True.
But I think that, you know, we're meant to coexist with human connection, and we're meant to actually weather challenges of life by having people to go talk to. And
we're social. We're mammals, but social. That's the big difference. Yeah.
There are the rare people that are hermits. They do exist, but they're not as common.
Well, sometimes in the day I am.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
But I can be a couple of days like without seeing anybody. It's just because I need so much time to go over learning and stuff like that sometimes I get bored with too much surrounding.
I sometimes do. I mean, even if after a long weekend, I'll want to be by myself for a couple of days, you know. But the thing that I'm trying to teach in the book is that there's this natural rhythm of existence of like the light cycle and the dark cycle, time with people, time alone. There's wake and sleep. There's exercise and recovery. There's heat and cold. There's feasting and fasting. There's, you know, hypoxia, hyperoxia, and all of these things, these toggling switches seem to enhance mitochondrial function. This sort of rhythm of existence of these contrasted experiences is natural. So what we should be doing is harnessing these facets of our biology to our advantage, which means you need to sleep properly, but you also need to be up during the day, getting that sunlight in your eyes. It's great to go get sauna, but it's also even better if you get a cold plunge too, and then go back into the sauna, right? Because
But you need to build resistance and resilience to be able to do that.
Yes, exactly. Now, the one thing I think a lot of biohackers are missing is if you are really burned out, doing a 5-minute cold plunge is not going to make you stronger. It's probably hurt you. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people get confused about this stuff, where they're always like if you're really burned out and you try to biohack too many things, you're going to burn out further.
Yeah.
So you got to really listen to your body. You got to listen to your body.
But that brings us back to what you said before.
Yeah.
Biofeedback on your body a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I like wearing wearable heart monitors there's this company called Hanu Health, and I work with them because I've been looking for a form factor that could allow me to get real-time HRV monitoring. And this company just did it with a polar heart strap. And I'm like, it's an awesome app. You can just see your HRV throughout the day. You can use it as like a mobile telemetry on calls. And what I notice is when I'm on podcasts and calls all day long, or even checking email, I'll start to breathe with my chest instead of breathing with my abdomen. And if you can just hear my voice is just different when I'm using my belly and I'm using it as a bellow to breathe. It's like I'm playing my voice like an instrument, and like, it's lower, it's more toned, it's more clear. But when I'm like stressed out, I'm like talking up here and I'm feeling
like raising the voice. But
your voice,
okay,
you're speaking from your throat, and it tenses things, Now
I have a question for you. We all know that the impact of those cell phone and notification and everything is a trigger of cortisol for your brain. If we get to use all these biofeedback tools and get the app to check everything that is happening in our body, aren't we going against the flow and triggering even more stress in our body than?
Well, you know what? I actually do think that, and I've talked about this in the book, that if you put these devices on your body and you get more stressed out than keeping them off, it may, especially if you become obsessive, then it can be detrimental to your health. So I would definitely recommend, if you struggle with eating disorder or obsessive compulsive disorder in any way, then like you really got to be careful with how you biohack. On the other hand, the main goal is to take this information and do something about it. Like last night when I was getting these alarms, it actually woke me up and it was not good. But you know what? I actually today realized, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually eat more calories the next day, make sure I don't undereat again. And it gave me such an impetus to like act. And I was like, you know what? I am feeling a bit stressed out. It's that time of year. It's near the end of the year. I've been pushing it way harder this year than any other year of my life. And I'm like, you know what? I got to start taking my Dr. Wilson's Adrenal Rebuilder. It's a great supplement for stress. It's adrenal cortex. And I'm like, I'm going to start taking that again, because I'm pretty sure that my blood sugar is dropping so low at night because A, I underate, and B, I'm under a lot of stress. And so being able to take that information and do something about it. I went off of coffee. I actually weaned off of coffee, and I'm only drinking mud water, hot chocolate, and like homemade cacao. And then also I'm drinking a little bit of matcha here and there, not a lot of matcha. But I was drinking, regular amounts of coffee a few months ago, but it was because I was looking at my cortisol getting high, and I was like, I got to course correct. Because if I don't course correct, then I'm going to end up burning out, and I don't want to burn out. And so you have it's really helpful to actually take this information. If you don't know what to do with it, that's
what I was going to say, but you're a doctor, you know what to do with it. And I'm not. What should I do then?
Well, first of all, I'm going to be making a lot more content in the next year to really teach people how to use these things. Like, this book is the first sort of stake in the ground. Like, this is me. I'm Dr. Molly Maloof. I care about this stuff. I'm going to teach you all about these things. But over the next year or so, I'm not only I work with doctors and I work with companies that are literally trying to create a paradigm shift in the world. I kind of feel like I'm from the future, and I'm like, okay, here, I'm from the future. I'm trying to communicate with people from the present. And yes, I'm bringing you guys new tools. And a lot of it's like, well, what do I do with this? But I'm trying to inspire all those health coaches in the world, all those nutritionists, all those breathwork coaches to be like, hey, you can use data to drive your decisions. You can actually see if your stuff is working, and you can help people get insight into their bodies. And I have to say, it's really helpful when my patients see, oh my God, look at how much you are moving now than you were 6 months ago. Look at how much better your HRV is. look at how much more you're sleeping. I mean, like literally one of my clients was having conflicts at work and it was really affecting his sleep. And he finally decided, you know what? I think I need to address the conflicts directly. And I was like, you know what? I'm glad you're finally coming to this conclusion.
It's almost psychology then.
Yeah, a lot of medicine is psychology, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of what I do is basically mindset work around like, let's really examine your life. You know, like I do this with myself too. Like, you know, I was looking at my stress warning signals and I was like, well, Molly, let's take your own medicine. Like, you're pretty stressed out. You're going to need to take some time off over Christmas. Like, you know, I'm going to Puerto Rico probably sometime next week. And I'm going to go and I'm going to relax for a little bit because, you know, it's important, obviously, that my book succeeds, but it's more important that I practice what I preach and take a vacation, you know, and actually take time off. Because every trip that I've taken this year, aside from one, I basically worked. And so, you know, really only
you're an entrepreneur.
I am an entrepreneur. There's really no way around it. Yeah. But I actually feel like I'm really grateful that like this is like one of those years where like there's not going to be a lot of years like this where I'm launching a book and running a company and seeing patients. Like it's not a normal year. And next year I won't have like the hard part of the book will be over. It'll be published. It'll just be about promoting it.
But then you have to do the content you were talking about. It's going to take you time as well.
Content to me is actually easy. Yeah. Like what I'm learning is that you got to do stuff that like you're really good at and you got to outsource things that you're not great at. And like, I'm really good at making content. Like that honestly, making content is like a breeze. Now you got to find an editor and you got to have someone create it. But like, once you've learned how to do something once, it's like, oh, so you tape for 3 days, you send it to an editor, they chop it up, and then you put it in a content calendar and then put it in Hootsuite, and then boom, you have 3 months of content. So I'm actually just learning that like, I'm learning what my strengths are, but I'm also learning that like, there's a lot of things that I'm just like, I'm not going to be good at, and I don't need to do those things.
Yeah, I think like, you know, this is the lesson of life. I think that when you know your weaknesses, even better than your strength, this is when you start to really performing to the top, because you know what you don't have to do, you know what to choose between the things that are going to work and things that are not going to work. So the whole dilemma of an entrepreneur is getting to that knowledge of himself or herself and get to that top level of perfection of knowing yourself. It's very interesting to see that many people preaches a lot of things, but they don't do it. And I love the fact that you've said, I'm going to do what I'm preaching, and I'm going to take vacation and things like that. It is so important to, especially with all the biofeedback that you're getting and gathering from the different tools. See, I don't wear anything anymore. I've tried.
One of the things I want to make clear is that I don't think people need to wear these things all the time. I think these are particularly useful when you're like, you know what? I'm going through a lot right now. I should probably take a look at what's going on under the hood. Sure, yeah. And this is one of those years where I measured my blood multiple times in 1 year because I was like, I'm stressing my system. Let's make sure I'm not breaking anything. Yeah. You know, like, and you shouldn't have to do blood sugar monitoring constantly. You shouldn't have to wear, I mean, look, I love my Oura Ring because I just like the data.
That's a good product.
But it's definitely like the intention behind a lot of this stuff is like, you should eventually realize like what's working for you, what's not working for you. And these are devices where you can put them on as almost like it's like a Holter monitor for arrhythmia. Like if you notice like, okay, I'm getting some signals from the body that something's not right, I'm going to put this thing on and find out what's going on. And that's what I like to do with them is like, let's look at your body when you're under stress. And like you're think about yourself like an airplane. If you're flying a stressed airplane, you better hope that there's some sensors on that thing, right? Yeah. If that airplane is a brand new airplane and you feeling amazing and you know this thing is functioning like a fighter jet, probably don't need to be, you know, it's like you're assuming it's gonna work.
Yeah, the 20s are far.
You know, like this is why the 20s are great. But when you're in when I was in my early 30s, I had a hypothesis. I was like, okay, I was working for a company and he said, look, what can we measure in the interstitial space and why? And I was like, okay, I'm going to go find out. So I read all of my physiology textbooks and I'm like digging into the data and I'm like, well, it's not what you should measure. It's what's the biggest problem you can solve. And I was like, diabetes is a gigantic issue and it's only going to get worse. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to like see what happens if I order these devices. I was a doctor, I had a license, I could order them. Just like slap one on my arm, see what happens. Put one on my arm and I'm at this quantified self meetup and someone says, hey, this is really cool that you're presenting CGM to people. Have you noticed that your blood sugar is kind of high? And I was like, I actually didn't really know that it was that high. And I was like looking at the data. I was like, holy shit, I'm like borderline pre-diabetic. And I'm supposed to be the young, healthy doctor. And I was just beginning my career. You know, this was like 2014. I had only had my license for 2 years, but I had put an intention into the universe that I was going to be a doctor who was going to figure out how to measure and amplify health. And I didn't realize that in the process of learning how to do that, that I would discover that I had way more to improve than I realized. I mean, at the time I was still taking Adderall. At the time I was like, you know, basically like just getting into fitness and I was borderline pre-diabetic. And like, now I'm 38 and I'm definitely not borderline pre-diabetic. My hemoglobin A1C is like 4.7. It's probably too low. I'm actually probably overly low carb. I'm starting to realize I actually just need to eat more carbs. But like, I definitely have like, you know, a really solid resting heart rate around 54. It's not bad. It could be better when I get more fit next year. It's not bad. It could, I'd rather like it be like more like, it used to be around 50. This year's been a little bit higher because of stress. Some people have resting heart rates of 100, you know, and it's like 80, 90, 100. Like some people like live in a state of really high stress and very low HRV. Some of my clients, their heart rate variability is lower than their resting heart rate, which is actually a pretty big predictor that they're pretty stressed out.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful about biohacking is like, we can get all this information. And then ideally what I'm hoping to spark is not just a revolution in health, but a revolution in how people work in the health space, right? Like I believe that health coaches should have more data. I think a lot of people are flying blind with their clients.
Completely. Yeah, completely.
They have no idea.
Yeah, no idea.
So it'd be better if less people were using this themselves, trying to figure it out, and more people were working with someone who knew how to interpret the information.
True.
So I'm friends with, I'm an advisor of a few companies, and I'm just going to be out in the open about it. Cause like the reason why I advise certain companies is because I'm trying to get the kind of technologies that I think are useful out into the world. And one of the companies is Heads Up Health, and they have a platform that can pull in all this data, this Aura Ring and my wearable. And then I can show my patients, let's see what's going on here with your blood sugar and your stress. We've never had a Morningstar terminal or a Bloomberg terminal for health before.
No, it's true. Yeah.
And right now, everything you get in medicine and healthcare is a black box that stays in the healthcare record. You see a tiny sliver of your health data. True. That is totally backwards. If we were really wanting to get people to get healthy, we would give people all of their data. In the future, by the way, you will go to a doctor, you will get medicine and healthcare that will make you healthier, and you will get paid for going to the doctor because your data you will get paid for. Like that is the world that I want to create. Like yesterday I did a new form of neurofeedback that is so revolutionary that I am just like, holy shit, I hate to cast so much, but
yeah, I was actually just jumping in that question about the brain optimization because it starts from there. Like we can play with our body, but if our brain doesn't work, so what is this? Tell me.
So I meet this woman at a party, and this is another reason why everybody should socialize. Like the number of things
I met you at a party.
We met at a party. Like arguably going out and partying is where you get a lot of information and a lot of resources, right? Like, so I met this woman. You know, I really believe that if you're in flow, you're going to start manifesting things that come to you. And I have been struggling with my memory lately because I had a concussion in 2020 and I've been under chronic stress for the last year. And I've just been noticing, man, my memory just is not as good as it used to be. And I pulled my entire Instagram following and I was like, is anyone else struggling with memory? And 70% of people said, My memory is not normal.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I think everybody's been under so much stress that it's actually breaking our brains. And so I was like, okay, universe, please give me a solution, because I just did neurofeedback and it barely improved things. I need something new. And I met this woman, and she's like, I'm an MD, double PhD from Italy, and I've got this really cool technology, and we're basically improving memory, cognition, symptoms of autism, focus. And let me just show you some videos. And she showed me these videos of people with like Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease and autism. And not only that, but just like people with depression. And oh my God, the way that they looked at the beginning of the week and the way that they look at the end of the week, it is literally night and day. And this is a week long, this is 30 minutes a day for 6 days. And I was like, I have to do this. Like, please let me come do this with you. And she's like, we're not FDA approved. We're still a company, but like, I've been working on this technology for many, many years. I'm happy to work with you. So yesterday I go into her house actually, and I sit down, and I can't even tell people who she is or what this technology is, because it's like so cutting edge that she doesn't even want me to tell people, but she said I could show people the videos of myself before and after. So I post them on Instagram, and you can literally see in one session, my face goes from kind of wrinkly and tired looking to like young and like healthy. And she taught me like a hand exercise, and it's like this. It's like you go.
Yeah.
Right. And I was going really pretty slowly. I was like, wait, how do I do this? Like, what do you want me to do? What? And I was like, and then I went like, I was going really fast, and it was like 30 minutes went by, and I did this brain training. So you're sitting in front of a computer, and you're basically using your brain connected to these electrodes that has got to be a Bluetooth connection, because there's no wires. And you're using your brain, and you're dropping into flow state, and you're literally nudging the animated part of yourself to like go through a video game. And you're just playing this video game with your mind, and you're supposed to play the game without trying to play, which is really interesting. It's like play the game, but don't try. And by the end of it, I was like, oh my God, I feel so peaceful. I feel so in flow. I'm like, I would do this every day if I had this device.
It's a bit like a meditation. You take the point, you bring it back to central. But can you tell me?
Like, I was like, can I buy one of these? And she's like, this device is like $1 million prototype. And
holy
I was like,
smoke! No. Wow. But
yeah.
The brain stimulation comes from the screen or come from the electrodes?
So it's bidirectional. So your brain is controlling the screen, but there's some sort of technology that's actually affecting your brain. So it's like it's a bidirectional relationship, I believe.
Because I'm very intrigued. I've tried so many biohack for the brain stimulation.
Yeah.
Remember that company, Halo Neuro?
Oh yeah.
Amongst the first.
I actually, interestingly, I believe I went in, I was part of one of their studies early on in the company.
I was on, me too. I actually used that and made a couple of studies on that. And it was one of the greatest one. Then,
did it work?
Yeah, it did. It did work very well. But recently I've met a guy that is the inventor of Neuronic, and it's infrared stimulation on, for now it's 9 spots on the brain, but they're going up to all of them. And they've been working on the medical side of it to cure Alzheimer in a part of it, or dementia, and that one works pretty well as well. What I do like about what you just said is the neurofeedback that you're getting is probably way more important than the stimulation itself, because it's always like you use those tools, but the only neurofeedback you have is your own perception of what is going to do or working or not. Curious to see what is that.
I mean, let's see what happens after a week of this,
Yeah.
Because like, I'm really excited about the frontier of like neurohacking, because I actually think that we pretty much know how to build muscle and optimize metabolism and stress. I think that there's a lot of cool stuff happening in stress related to vibrational beds. There's like 3 companies I'm friends with that are creating home stress units. There's a new sauna that's a company that's creating a sauna that's like, it looks like a Japanese onsen, and you go inside. It's got light, sound, vibration, and guided breath work, and it's a sauna. And I'm like, okay, the stuff that's coming that's fairly affordable for like optimizing stress, the good stuff's coming, and we have quite a lot of good stuff. But like, I do think that we could still work on stress optimization. There's got to be stuff that we can do, like wearables in the moment, that could really help us. But now I'm really excited about like, what is the stuff that we can do to age our brain in reverse? You know, like there's supplements that you can take, like MitoQ, that will literally in 6 weeks, like reverse aging in your arteries.
Yeah.
That stuff exists. But what we don't have is like, how do we get our brain to age in reverse? I mean, I think more people would want something that improves cognition and memory than anything else these days, because everybody wants an edge, right? Everybody wants to have their brain function as fast as they can. So I think traditional neurofeedback has been good, but it leaves a lot to be desired. The stuff that's like fast, quick, effective, scalable, home use, consumer products, like things that could be medical products, but also could be actual consumer products. Like that's exciting to me, because we shouldn't have to wait 20 years for it to be ready to cure a disease. I want something that makes me look younger, something that makes me feel smarter. And I don't want to pay for it as a drug or
no magic pills. Use your natural body and the potential of your cells and mitochondria to get there. I agree on that. My only concern, with all these, and I'm trying all of them, the brain stimulation and all these tools that are coming to the market, there's many that are that are super fantastic. But some of my friends and fellows in neuroscience are skeptical about the side effect of using TDCS, for example, that they say like when we use TDCS on rats, we don't have nice results, but we're trying to use them on human and we present to have nice results. So what scares me the most is to see that it's going like, biohacking is super cool because it's the forefront of all the longevity and health span extension and everything. But sometimes it gets wild and it could be a bit dangerous.
We do need to do the research. We do need to study things for health. We do need to make sure things are safe. This is absolutely paramount, right? And we can't just like launch products that haven't been properly vetted. So we should be doing like, clinical research is clinical research. It needs to be done. But that being said, like, I do think that, TDCS is not really going direct to consumer anytime soon. Like that's a technology that you got to go directly to the doctor for.
Right.
I think neurofeedback and neurofeedback type devices generally seem safe for the most part, but typically you do get them through a trained practitioner. But you're right. Like anything like for example, PEMF, great technology. There's a lot of like low level PEMF mats you can buy. Like, Higher Dose has one and Centripix has one. But then there's these like other companies where it's like literally shocking your body. And my friend Katrine, I was like, hey, I love the way this thing makes me feel. Should I get one? And she's like, no. She's like, I'm worried that those things have so much electricity running through people that they're going to burn them out. And yes, it's great if you get injured and you need more electricity going into that injury. But how do we know these things aren't actually burning you out further? How do we know things are overtaxing the mitochondria? And like, we're at the very beginning of this revolution in energy, like actually the understanding at a molecular level of how energy creates disease or health.
The quantum energy in general.
Like I have this little thing from Layla Quantum on my desk.
I spoke to Philip a week ago. I
have no idea how this thing works.
Apparently it works by itself.
And I have like Somavedic over here on my counter. Do I know if that thing works? There's no way that does live blood cell analysis is not considered to be a evidence-based diagnostic test. These companies all use live blood analysis, but like that's not considered mainstream medicine, right? So there's, to me, this like we've got this scientific thing, sort of we need to bridge this gap between the Western model and the new world of like quantum biology. And where's the science in the middle that can connect the two? Because I feel like I've got so many friends that are like head over heels for these devices. I get them because I'm just like, well, if they think it works, I'm going to try it. I definitely notice a very subtle effect of it, but I want to know how it works. I want to know, what does it do?
But it's going to take some time. You remember 100 years ago when people were saying, I'm going to send the sound from here to your place, and the radio didn't exist, and people were like, you're crazy, it's impossible. And today, like, you have TV, you have radio, you have Bluetooth, you have everything. So we're going to get there one day. For now, we don't know. I'm a true believer in that. I want to jump back in what you said just before, because I'm intrigued to learn more about what you think. Do you think that if we overstimulate our cells, and in particular our mitochondria, do they have a number of cycles that is determined in life? Like, for example, you have a mitochondria is done for a cycle of 1,000 times, and over that they're going to die. Do you think that our system is like that?
I love this question because I've never been asked it before. And I think this has got to be one of the best questions I've ever been asked.
Thank you.
It is literally totally worth going to my expert friends who are mitochondrial like geeks and being like, guys, I got asked the best question of my life. Like this is what you're really asking is, do our rechargeable batteries have a limited shelf life? Is there a limited number of times we can recharge them? Like, how many times can we recharge the batteries before they break? Like, we all know that you're like, the one thing that's crazy about my computer, and like, the truth is, I think part of the reason why I'm optimizing for health span is because I wear out my phone and my computers so much faster than anyone else I know. Like, I go through a computer and a phone every 2 years. And most people like
overusing it.
I don't know if I'm overusing it or what, but like my batteries always break.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that breaks out of my computer and my phone is my batteries. So I'm like, am I just the kind of person that is processing so much information that I'm using so much energy for information processing that I'm literally damaging the batteries?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, what does that say about my brain? And am I prematurely draining my brain batteries because my brain is processing so quickly all the time? And now I'm asking myself, like, well, shit, am I only going to live to 80 instead of
burning yourself?
I mean, it's really funny because like, it's a really serious question, but I also know that like, there's times in your life where you're going to have the most stresses on you. It's typically when you hit your late 30s, early 40s, when you're building families, when you're building careers. And like, the thing that I also know about biology is that there's a thing called hormesis, and it's when small amount of stress makes you stronger. And I do think that what I'm learning personally is that your mindset around stress is really going to determine whether or not it affects you as much. So the people that I know that go to work in flow state and have a really good attitude, they don't have the same experience of stress as the people who go to work and are like complaining all day long. And I actually need to take my own medicine because sometimes I wake up and I'm just like, damn it, I have so many calls today. I am so sick of all these calls. I'm like, gosh, I'm not gonna be able to do it all. And then I'm like, wait, you need to change your internal dialogue because you asked for all this. And like, you're lucky to have this much business. You're lucky to have all this opportunity. Like, there are people struggling to find work. And I'm constantly having to remind myself, like this woman I was working with yesterday, this inventor, she was really catching me in my mind and like my mindset and in the way I talk, because I believe that we send signals to ourselves, and the way we think is also it's literally changing our biology, right?
Yeah.
So when you think positively and you think about, joy and love and peace and all the good things, and you meditate consistently, it changes your physiology. And when I fall off on meditation, when I fall off on exercise, which by the way, even if you're a health optimization expert, you're still not going to be perfect. There's going to be weeks like last week where I had to sit and I had to record my book the entire week, and I didn't exercise a lot that week because I was sitting in a room I was so exhausted from speaking for like 8 hours straight. It was really tiring. I had no idea that I would be so tired.
And that's fine. You know, it's a week over 100 years. What is it? It's insignificant.
But the key I'm trying to make is that, like, even I have to remind myself, Molly, you need to watch your internal dialogue, because your internal dialogue is creating your existence. It's creating your reality. It's creating your life. And so we all are heading into probably what's going to be one of the most, I'm going to say, exciting. Most people are going to probably say terrifying next few years of American history. Like, we're in a massive turning point in the world.
Oh yeah.
It's absolutely a paradigm shifting in multiple arenas, in money, in health, in world power, in value systems. Like, everything is changing all at once. So what I'm trying to do is, instead of doing what I did when the pandemic hit, which was freak out, what I'm trying to do now is, like, how do I get excited and how do I get, like, really prepared by doing everything I know is good for optimizing my chances of really ending up in a great situation after so much of the world changing, right? So, like, we have a choice in, like, whether we're going to be anxious and fearful, or whether we're going to be, like, ambitious and excited about what's coming. And it's really a matter of, like, mindset. It really, really changes your whole reality.
But this is what these people on quantum biology are saying, and ancestral medicine as well. Like, you're sending signal to the universe. This is exactly the same thing. You're sending signal to the universe by the way that you behave, the way you think, the way you feel, and they say that the universe is sending it back to you, but actually it's your brain that is sending back the right signal to your body that makes you feel better and alive and positive. And then, of course, the more positive you are, the more you're going to attract other people. Like, you know that the light that we emit is variable depending on our mood. So,
oh my God, literally, I can go from being, like, sallow looking to looking like boom, bright, you know, and, like, a
shiny bright.
And I think the beauty of biohacking is that even when you are really, really stressed out, you still see there's, like, it feels like, to me, what biohacking brings you is, like, you have some agency over your health, and you don't feel like, okay, I'm just gonna, like, end up sick and old. Like, no, I'm gonna, like my, Wade from BioOptimizers.
I had him on my podcast last week.
Wade is my hero. I mean, talk about an entrepreneur. You and Wade,
50,
by the way, are super inspiring. Like, you're both, like, super fit, super successful, super happy, in flow. And, like, he's literally doing bodybuilding competitions. He's, like, in his 50s, and he's like, Molly, I'm literally outperforming my younger self. Like, that's what life can look like. You know, that's so cool that, like, I'm looking at, like Alan Aragon and his wife, like, holy sorry, but like, they're amazing shape. I'm like, man, I could be in that good of shape. Like, I'm in okay shape right now.
You're in good shape.
I'm in good shape, but I could be in, like, great shape if I actually committed to getting a trainer, which I'm going to do next year.
Or convince yourself to get there.
I work out. I do work out. I just, like, I don't work out in a way that, like, I'm not doing, like, bodybuilding regimens like Wade's doing, and I'm not on a bodybuilding diet. So because of that, like, I'm actually, I look great, but I also, like, know myself, and I'm like, man, I could be fit. I could be like Alan Aragon's wife fit, and she's, like, 10 years older than me. And, like, that's what I'm thinking about. Like, when you become a biohacker, the future is only looks positive, because you're like, wow, I can get stronger and healthier. And, like, literally, I'm stronger and healthier and fitter than I was 10 years ago. But I know that with what I know today, I can get stronger, fitter, and healthier for the next 10 years. Like, I don't have to look at aging as, like, this thing that happens to me that's miserable.
But at the age you are, Molly, it's like you are at the peak of your brain functionalities and your body performance as well. And you can only go to better and better in the next 10 years. For you is like nirvana. The best.
And the thing is like, I'm really excited, because I'm feeling kind of like there's things about this year that have been really challenging. Like, when you learn so many new things, it can be really, really challenging on the body system to be like, wow, I've never fundraised before, and I've never managed as many people before, and I've never, marketed a book before. I've never even learned how to build a marketing campaign. Like, all the things that I've learned in 1 year has been really, really challenging. But what's cool is that when you look at challenges that make you stronger, then you're like, whoa, I have all these new skills now, and like, I can do all this, and it's gonna be so much easier the next time. It's like you get over this activation energy, and you're like, this thing that I thought was so hard is actually now easy. And so that's what's really cool about challenging your body and actually looking at life from that lens of like, challenges make me stronger, not weaker. Like, I can get stronger through like adapting. And that's really what health is about. It's the ability to adapt and self-manage in the face of adversity. So it's like, how well do you bounce back after you get hit? Like, I got COVID, I bounced back in a few weeks, and I had NAD therapy with my friend Katrine, and I was like, boom, I felt like I was 20 again. And then I, went to 2 weekends, and I started, I went to like 2 different concerts in 2 weekends in a row, and I caught a cold, and I was like, you know what, maybe I'm not 20 anymore. but now it's funny because like I've been invited to a lot of things over this last, few weeks. And I'm like, you know what? It's flu season. I don't need to go to everything. Like, I'm going to be really careful with my energy. I'm going to course correct. I'm not going to just like go out and like last year, which is like go to everything I got invited to. It's like, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to give myself some space. I'm going to say no more. And that's what adaptation is about. It's like using this information that you have in your mind to make proper decisions and changes so that you can optimize your chances of being healthy.
Absolutely. This is exactly what I was trying to bring before, is knowing your body perfectly, that you don't need the use of any trackers after, because you know exactly what is going to be good for you and what is not. And well, the after COVID made everyone like going to all parties and everything, but now it's over. It's starting to be different. And I think it's like learning is the most beautiful thing that you can do in life. I spend my whole day learning. This is like it's like it, and you cannot stop because there are so many things to learn about.
I love learning. It's my drug of choice by far.
And you know what? Learning about you was one of the things that was intriguing, because the whole parkour you have is beautiful. We spoke a bit at that party, but I've learned more reading, and I've learned today talking to you. It's awesome. I cannot wait to see your book, to get your book, and you're doing great for the humanity in general. So kudos.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. Seriously.
I really admire you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Molly. It was a great pleasure having you today.
All right. Wonderful. So good to see you. And you have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too. So have a nice evening. You're on the other side, so it's like 3 p.m. for you.
It is 5:06. I'm in Central Time.
Oh, you're in Central. Oh yeah, it's 6. Okay. So I'll keep you posted when these videos are going to be released. I'm going to do some snapshots and stuff like that, but I'll get you all this material as well.
Awesome.
It was a great pleasure.
Great, actually, one of the things I would love is drmarley.co/the spark factor. It'll probably be the link that I'll be trying to list at the
pre-sale. Yeah, send me all the information you want me to get into the when we post these, either on Instagram, YouTube, or I'm going to do a press release as well to mention this podcast. But if you need any links, obvious links that you want to use, send me these pictures as well, whatever the picture you want. If you have a picture of the cover of your book, that would be awesome.
Yep, perfect. I'll send that all to you.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you, Molly.
Thanks. Bye.
Take it easy. Bye. Ciao. It was a pleasure.